Orange? Who made the console orange?
Do I look orange?
I didn't touch it.
Orange is not my color.
Not me.
Hello? Ah! Oh my gosh, I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted to make such a good first impression.
What do you mean, we?
Inside Out 2. I finally got back to theaters, and frankly, I couldn't have chosen a better movie out right now. Pixar finally returns to its usual glory slate with a sequel, of all things? Really? Okay. Well, it's a sequel to a fantastic first movie with an incredibly unique idea, personifying emotions and exploring how important emotional intelligence and mental health can be. And yeah, that's all really important. And it's kinda there for kids and adults to get into. However, this movie is definitely not made for kids. The first one I can see with a bunch of kids being able to relate, but this is set around a teenager. So I feel like this movie is more for preteens or people who can generally pay attention and relate to more complicated emotions and puberty, because that's a thing that happens here. It's a good idea. However, after seeing the initial trailer for this film, I was a bit hesitant to see it. Too much looked like it was going to be either too weird or too on the nose or not make sense to what emotional stability and health is. It's a very easy topic to get wrong or oversimplify and misconstrue. But I am glad to say that I was very, very wrong with those fears. Inside Out 2 continues to be just as smart and unique as the first one, while continuing to expand the world of both inside the now 13-year-old girl's head and her actual reality. We see a lot more about what makes Riley in this. There's some very good context and metaphors about that, but moving on. And I love that even if her reality is a bit of a B plot, it is very smartly integrated both in what she is doing and experiencing, along with what her emotions are doing and reacting to as well. So what is this movie about that makes it stand out so much, especially from the first one? Inside Out 2 takes place a few years after the first. Riley is now 13, and the core 5 emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, have all learned to gel really well together. When puberty starts and Riley is being sent to a hockey camp amidst shocking news from her friends, new emotions appear led by anxiety. Anxiety quickly takes over in the new environment, and the core 5 emotions must struggle as they determine what's best for Riley and fight to get her sense of self reinstated and on the right track. It sounds a lot more complicated than it really is, but again, this can be a little more complicated. The first movie dealt with coping with moving and all the trauma and emotional feelings that come with that, and learning that you can feel a mix of emotions at the same time. So this being a little more complicated is good. Trust me on that. But the story is also slightly predictable in some aspects, but it's Pixar. How are you going to be surprised by this unless it takes a wild plot twist somewhere along the way? This is pretty safe in its plot, but it's still very entertaining. A lot of people took this trailer to mean that these new emotions, being envy, ennui, embarrassment, and anxiety, would be evil or mean antagonists. While anxiety is really antagonistic, this film is smarter than that. Right at the start when they're introduced, it shows that Joy has learned from the previous film that Riley needs all of her emotions to function properly, which thank God that we kept that character arc and she has grown. There's a very early scene where sadness takes the reins to let Riley cry just a little bit, and Joy remarks, "It's okay, we need this," which is just great to see. So it tracks that Joy would welcome these new emotions even if she doesn't fully understand what they do or what their purpose for Riley is. Anxiety explains that she plans ahead, that she's a fear for the future. And I like how the film uses Riley's personal predicament as a means for how anxiety can take control of our lives, and while meaning well, can become a detriment to our way of thinking, but also throughout the entire film find ways with how to deal with anxiety itself in healthy therapeutic ways. I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. It's really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling anything, but I'm gonna try. There's a scene where Riley grounds herself after having a freak out, and it's not talked about in the movie, it's just shown, and it's so smartly done and is just really artistic and well made. I really enjoyed that, and especially that none of the characters talked about it or explained what she was doing. She was just doing it, and the film helped to show this off. There's all these little details thrown in that I absolutely love. Like very early on and shown in the trailers, you have these cells coming in and destroying the headquarters area in order to expand it for puberty, but then they leave halfway through the job, leaving the place a total mess. And after that, the emotions find that Riley overreacts to their input when they barely touch the console, and everyone is confused as to why she's having these strong reactions to what seems like very minimal issues. But I think we can all agree that that's what puberty does.
Let the professional handle this.
I'm too gross to go anywhere ever again!
Well, that's a preview of the next 10 years.
So very, very smart there. I do also like how her mother immediately knows what's going on instead of being confused or annoyed by Riley's actions. She's shocked, sure, but she knows that it's puberty and knows what it does, even saying like, hey, your body is changing, and dealing with that. Honestly, the parents here are just fantastic. Riley's parents are so enthusiastic and supportive of their daughter that it's genuinely infectious. They want her to succeed and have fun so much that we as the audience want the same things for her. It's remarkably easy to get behind. Riley's mind is familiar too, but different as well when we do go exploring it. There's some great puns here or there, and what I believe is a reference to Adventure Time, even though I know it's not. I'm just going to believe it is with the vault. Kerplunk.
You're repressing the memory, dude.
I'm what?
You're hiding whatever she is in a mental vault.
Oh yeah, the vault. That's where the stuff I can't handle goes.
Kerplunk. Okay, so you even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
There's some great puns here or there and other smart ways to show how mental connections work, even one that shows how the imagination can be used against you if you're worried about something, or how the mind's pathways are constantly changing and shifting. That's really cool. One new idea added into the mix that becomes kind of a focal point is Riley's sense of self. They treat it like a plant, kind of, where this sense is grown from Riley's memories, actions, and experiences. It's kind of like a moral compass that anxiety comes and throws out of whack because she's so focused on Riley being cool and okay in the future. But even that has an excellent payoff at the end as well, where everyone learns a new lesson. This movie has some fantastic quotes that I just can't use due to spoilers, but one that really sticks with me is about midway through the film. The characters are talking and Joy remarks that maybe this is just what happens when you grow up, that you feel less joy. And man, if that doesn't hit close to home for me, as someone who has dealt with and still suffers a lot from depression and anxiety, that quote and just a lot of what this movie explores really gels with me and with what goes on in my own head and how I've learned how to cope and deal with things that bother me. Of course, the movie takes the healthiest approach imaginable, which I can't say I do, but still. But still, it's very smart, and I can see a lot of people relating to that and mixing it in with their own experiences. It also helps that the voice cast for this movie is fantastic. Amy Poehler is a perfect Joy and is just a great actress in general. I love her in everything she does. She really needs to be in more things just because she's so much fun. Just her energy is wild. I want to meet her someday. She's so great. Phyllis Smith is fantastic as Sadness as well. I've said fantastic twice now. She's just got the perfect delivery for it all. Same with Lewis Black as Anger. However, Fear and Disgust are the only core emotion voices not returning, now being played by Tony Hale and Liza Lapira, but they do a great job as well. Hale is a really good replacement for Bill Hader, surprisingly, which makes sense the more I think about it. And finally, we have Maya Hawke as Anxiety. Just, she's great great. Oh, she's lovely. Dang, she's come so far since Stranger Things and is still probably my favorite character in Stranger Things. So love all of that. Thinking more about the movie, I do have a couple of slight nitpicks, but overall, I think it's an extremely solid film. I'd say that maybe one or two of my nitpicks is that Ennui and Envy, while having interesting designs, don't really have much to do. They have plenty of lines and they show up and touch the console and have Riley do something here or there, but that's pretty much it. The core 5 emotions all get parts to play and do a lot more than they did in the first film, but these two newcomers are just kind of there for a joke or to make Riley look a little cool or focus on the details of other people. They don't really have a lot of story significance, and the idea of ennui makes you look cool. They explain it as the sense of boredom. So, okay, I don't know about that, but sure, I guess that's one way to explain it. The pacing in this is also a little fast here or there, but this has a lot of story to get through, especially needing anxiety to take control so fast. So I guess that kind of makes sense. I still wish it was a little longer and took its time in the beginning. The movie also didn't have a Pixar short, which was very weird. I don't think I've seen a Pixar movie without a Pixar short, unless I'm misremembering something. It also didn't really have that patented Pixar gut punch I'm so used to in a lot of their films. I didn't really cry anywhere in this, even though I could definitely tell where you would cry if you related to it enough, but I didn't, which is kind of new for me, honestly, but overall, it's still extremely solid. These are all just general nitpicks. This is a really smart film that is not meant for kids, like I said at the start. My theater, unfortunately, had a bunch of small children who probably would be fine for the first movie, but definitely needed to be at least preteens for this one. That's the demographic that the movie was focused on anyway, and these kids were getting bored right when the climax was starting and all the emotional stuff was happening. I could tell they clearly didn't understand what was going on. What kind of toddler is feeling anxiety, honestly? Still, whatever. They weren't really that big a deal. And at least they had parents this time. This franchise is truly one of the greats. There's a lot of ways that Pixar could keep continuing this exploration of emotional health and intelligence. They could have Riley keep growing up, developing even newer complex emotions and seeing how her experiences change and what mental issues she needs to overcome in healthy ways. There's so much creativity and ways that this can be explored. I genuinely cannot wait for Inside Out 3. Overall though, again, I think this is an extremely solid movie that will stick with you in its quotes, if not for the lessons it explores, and will make you wonder just what is going on inside your head. Ultimately though, Inside Out 2 gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Yeah, I know, I went to see a Disney movie. I still haven't seen Wish, but I saw this. There's so many interesting things that I feel they could explore that I genuinely don't think they're going to explore. Disney focusing on mental stability with depression? I don't know about that. I think they did that as much as they could with the first movie, and that really wasn't depression. That was more so like homesickness and coping with change. But there's a lot they could do as they grow up and explore different mental health issues that hopefully we see soon. I don't know. They set the stage for a lot of interesting ideas that hopefully we see at some point. I don't know. After this though, I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna see. I'm sure there's plenty more. I know Longlegs is coming out soon. I'm really excited for that. I hope Furiosa is still in theaters next week because I don't think there's anything coming out that I was really looking forward to, and I missed Furiosa, so I really want to see that, but I don't know. What do you guys have? Do you guys have any really good psychological horror movies to check out? That ties into the theme with emotions, right? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and after that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song on your own. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.